Hi, welcome to the Improved Garage YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button. Alright, last item to unbox. Well, besides the monitor, but the monitor is going to be the same as the monoprice that I use, and I've done a video on that already. Yamaha RX-A1080. So, this receiver is part of the Vintage line. So, you know, in my opinion, there are three big players in the audio world. You know, when you talk about like the Japanese brands, there's Yamaha, there's Denon, and there's Onkyo. Years ago, Harman Kardon played a major role too, and lately there really hasn't been anything new out of Harman Kardon, which is a shame because I had an AVR 354 that I absolutely loved. Yamaha's normal models are just Yamaha. Yamaha's high-end models are Yamaha Vintage. So those are the ones that have giant transformers. They have their audio set up in a way where they have full analog pads, and they're designed to produce a higher quality audio. Onkyo has a high-end brand called Integra. So the regular is Onkyo, the high-end is Integra. I have an Onkyo here, I have an Integra in my living room. Very similar in terms of the differences between the two. And then Denon is the normal, and Marantz is their high-end brand. With Yamaha, I stayed away from Yamaha for a little while because back in the old, like the HTR 5000 series, so this is going back, you know, probably 15 years, I felt that they were overly bright, and, you know, I preferred a warmer sound. So I kind of went towards Onkyo, which had a warmer sound. I've personally never owned a Denon or a Marantz, and it's mostly because of, you know, things that I've read online about issues with HDMI switching or other issues that they have. And that's not to say like Onkyo is without issues. I've had issues with HDMI. I had an HDMI board die on my last Onkyo. It happens. You might notice on the side of this box that this is refurbished. So this receiver came from a company called Accessories for Less, accessoriesforless.com. And Accessories for Less sells manufacturer refurbished high-end audio products. So they do, you know, Yamaha, Denon, Marantz, Focal, Kef, Integra, you know, lots of other high-end brands. And they tend to be somewhere between 20 and 40% off. And they come with a manufacturer's warranty. These are manufacturer factory refurbished units. So this comes with an 18-month warranty. The factory warranty from Yamaha, I think, is only 2 years, so it's really not much different. But in my opinion, a refurb can be as good, if not better, in terms of reliability, because a human actually opened this thing up, saw that there was something wrong with it, and fixed it. Or it might have just been something that was, you know, somebody bought it, returned it to a store, and it was repackaged by Yamaha after going through a quality inspection. But either way, a human physically looked at this, which I think is better than it just being built by a robot. So, it's definitely heavy. And I will say that Accessories for Less, I've dealt with them in the past. My Integra that I have at my house came from them, and I saved, I don't know, 40% off of the price. And if you're okay with not having the newest product, like if you're okay being one generation behind, the RX-A1070 is on there right now, and it's like $200 cheaper than this one. You know, and the only thing it doesn't have is a couple of the 4K things. So my Integra is, I bought like one generation behind and saved a ton of money, and don't really care because I'm not running Atmos, so I'm not doing a lot of those things. So let's get this unbagged, and we'll take a look at it. So here's the back of the unit, and I'll remove this from the tripod so you can kind of get up close. So here's the back of the actual unit itself. And I will say, first impression, it's super nice. So we've got 7 HDMIs. We've got 7 ins, 3 outs. This one has audio return channel. These support HDCP 2.2. This is zone 1, zone 2. There is also a zone 3 that supports HDCP 2.2. There's a network port on the back, wired network port, and there is also a 2 antenna adapters here to connect antennas for Wi-Fi. They use 5-way binding posts for the speaker connection. So we've got our front, our center, we've got our front presence speakers, which would be for your Atmos, our surround back speakers, and our surround left-right speakers. These can be configured as different things. So we can just do a 5-channel setup, which would be fronts, centers, and surrounds. And we can set these up as like zone 2 or zone 3 or however we want to configure them. There are pre-outs for zone 2, which are right here. So if you want to use a different amplifier to power zone 2, you can totally do that. There are pre-outs for each of the independent channels. So fronts, surrounds, surround backs, dual subwoofer, and a center. So you can run a 7.2 channel setup off of these pre-outs as well. So if you wanted to use external amplification, this could be a nice stepping stone receiver. You could put this in your rack, you could run everything off of it, and then over time, you can add another amplifier and you can grow it from there. This receiver is I believe it's a 7.2. Okay, so this is a 7.2 channel receiver. The next step up would be, I think they do a 9.2 or a 9.4, so 7.2. It does 110 watts per channel into 8 ohms with 2 channels driven. It supports Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, supports a 5.1.2 Atmos setup with multiple placement patterns for height channels. So you can do 7 channel, meaning fronts, rears, sides, center, and those are your 7. Or you can do fronts with height, rears, and a sub. So you've got a couple different options there. It does have some component video connections as well. It does have some old school composite video. It's got a bunch of digital connections. There's 1, 2, 3 optical inputs and 3 coaxial digital inputs. There's still a spot for an FM radio antenna and an AM radio antenna. The thing is very heavy. It's obviously built incredibly well. It's got the Aventage logo right on the front of it. So it's obvious that this is an Aventage model. Here are the controls underneath the front panels. You can set up scenes. There's multi-zone control, different surround programs, FM, AM, tuning, presets, etc. Your inputs are adjusted with this dial, and your volume is adjusted with this dial. So I'm pretty excited actually to power this thing up and see how it sounds, and really crank it up and see what it can do. It seems like an awesome unit. It supports MusicCast, which is Yamaha's multi-room setup. I'm not incredibly familiar with that to know how well it works. There is a remote in here, there's a power cable in here, there's Wi-Fi antennas in here, there's the microphone for the YPAO in here. It's got a warranty and all of that stuff, but it's incredibly nice. So we'll dive into this a little bit more as we get it set up, and I'll do a separate video on setting it up and turning it on for the first time.